it's Vidar from Gentleman Gaming here, bringing you another episode of Learn the League. Today in Learn the League we are going to talk about Jhin. Jhin is one AD carry who has long range but low damage per second. Because of this, he is more played like a caster rather than an AD carry. For runes you want to take a standard AD carry page. And for masteries you want to go into the ferocity tree and taking Deathire's Touch as your keystone. Let's jump straight into the gameplay.
Jhin's Q, Dancing Grenade, does more damage the more units it kills, and it bounces 4 times in total. You can abuse this by getting 3 minions low so the grenade kills all the minions, increasing its damage before it bounces to the enemy bot lane, thus harassing them. You should always look to use this technique to harass your opponents when they walk up to take a CS. Because of the high and safe trading potential that Jhin has, he can trade a lot without really putting himself into a dangerous position. Unfortunately for us, Shyvana ganks as soon as we take a trade, but because we really haven't overextended that far, we can get out by using our summoner spells. By using the power of Jhin's trading potential with his 4th auto attack and his Q, we get them low and eventually force them out of lane by catching them with Jhin's W route. Even though we didn't kill them, we force them back, starving them from any experience and gold coming from the creep waves, giving us an advantage. One thing to remember as Jhin is that you should always look to take advantage of your ability to poke at long range. If you don't keep your distance, you can get punished because of your low mobility. Jhin's W works really well to follow up on an engage from your teammate. So by pairing Jhin with a support that has some range crowd control, you can layer the spells together, leaving your opponent rooted for a really long time. This forces the enemy to be really cautious about the huge CC chain that can hit them. Because if you hit them with a crowd control, you will chunk them out a lot. All of these factors are giving Jhin an incredibly strong laning phase, and he's probably the strongest laning AD carry in this patch. Jhin is the only AD carry that has a crowd control ability on a fairly low cooldown. Because of this you can reliably force fights once you get an advantage. As soon as we get our level 6, we engage and we manage to secure a kill. But once you have committed aggressively with your flash as Jhin, you don't really have any options to disengage. So I end up dying here. But luckily I get another kill in the process. You should always look for picks with your W as Jhin. It's really good for initiating picks because of its ability to be cast through minions, as you see in this clip. Here I get the opportunity to get the maximum damage my Q can do on Kog'Maw, and immediately I follow up with my W. To secure the kill, I move back to channel my ultimate safely. Jhin's long range route and ultimate can surprise people. Use them wisely to get pickoffs in the mid game. When I see my team fighting, I can quickly follow up because of my long range. One of Jhin's biggest strengths is the ability to secure kills with his route and ultimate. Here we try to chase them down, but Shyvana quickly appears for a counter gank and a fight breaks out. In fights, you need to be really careful of your positioning as Jhin. You should always look to kite backwards. You don't need to worry about the enemies escaping, because you can always use your long range ultimate to pick off the enemies if they try to flee. As I said earlier, Jin's playstyle is more like a poke mage in teamfights, rather than an AD carry. Here we get a pick started by my W, and I keep my distance from the enemies so I can use my ultimate to pick off the low health targets. By using Jhin as a long range pick tool, you can get ahead in the mid game without really putting yourself in any risk. Once you get into people's faces as Jhin, that's when you become weaker, because your damage per second is lower than the other AD carries. This is why you see me kiting backwards and keeping a long distance from the enemies in every clip. You use your traps as Jhin to prevent the enemies from engaging on you. As you see in this clip, I have stacked traps just outside of tower range, so the enemies will be slowed once they try to engage. This gives me an easier time to keep my distance, and as I mentioned previously, you can always use your ultimate if you get out of range while kiting. As mentioned earlier, Jhin has long range but low damage per second. This means that it's really important that you keep positioning yourself far back, as you see me doing here. Your ultimate can also be used to start fights, because it slows so damn much besides doing plenty of damage, as demonstrated in this clip. As a consequence of my ultimate, my teammates catch up and go in. I keep chasing with them, using my W to catch up to the enemies. It's really hard for the enemies to get away from Jhin, because this champion is so damn good at chasing. So we managed to nearly ace them, with Anivia being the only one left alive. But because my W has such a long range and Deathfire's touch scales really well with AD and does immense damage when used on Jhin, we kill Anivia and finish the game shortly afterwards. And this guide was brought to you by Gentleman Gaming. Like, comment and subscribe, and join us for our next guide.